invocation for us?
Ready.
Praise God, thank you, I'm so impressed that so many people come the week, that a lot of people are on vacation, especially you, so thank you so much for asking me to pray. Let us pray. Father, we come before you today with thankful hearts for all that you have done in our lives. We thank you for family, friends, and those who are willing to serve others through giving of their time to help others. Thank you for our country that was founded on biblical principles by those who laid down their life to follow you and your word, to establish our country to respect others in every way. There are many ways that leaders in our country have shown the importance of you in our many years of existence. Benjamin Franklin proposed that the Constitutional Convention begin each day with a prayer. George Washington hoped that all nations would acknowledge the providence of the Almighty God and obey his will. Thomas Jefferson warned the new United States to never forget that liberties are the gift from God. Laus Deo, which means praise be to God, is inscribed in the capstone of the Washington Monument. The words, "In God We Trust," are written over the southern entrance of the United States Capitol. The 10 Commandments are engraved in bronze on the floor of the National Archives, where the Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution are displayed. May all those in authority today continue to acknowledge you and to seek what is important to you, so that your blessings will continue in our country. Thank you for all those who are willing to take time to serve others in our government at all levels. Today we pray especially for those in our county who make decisions for us. May you give them wisdom and revelation knowledge to do what is right in your eyes. So today we pray specifically for our county supervisors, Supervisor Clifton, Supervisor Fitch,
Participants are waiting in the lobby.
and
Admit all
Supervisor
participants in the
Stancil.
lobby. Press
May they work together to be faithful to serve you as they make decisions for all those living in our county.
No one in the lobby.
I also lift up all others who take the time and effort to serve others in our
Participants
county.
are waiting in the lobby. To admit all participants in the lobby, press star.
All elected officials, law enforcement, emergency management, our fire departments, public health employees, and those who are willing to volunteer to serve on our local boards. I pray for protection for them all and blessings for each one. And so as the new year arrives, may each person in our county continue to put others before themselves and honor you, so that they will be blessed and be a blessing to others. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
I will try to
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on.
I don't either.
All right, anyway, I'm gonna go call a meeting to order at 9:33 a.m. Can I have a roll call, please?
Clifton.
Here.
Fitch. Here. Stancil. Here.
All present? Can I have a motion, let's review the agenda for any conflicts of interest. Anybody have any?
No.
I do not see any myself. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So,
I'd like to have a discussion regarding one of the items in the
Okay.
consent agenda. Please, item 3
Okay.
of, section B. I'm a little confused about that. We all got copies of that, and there's notes on the one that's in this agenda here, and I see that the treasurer's here. Did you see the agenda item? Did you wanna address that?
yeah, I can. I'm not sure where the note came from, because that's not the copy I received. But, I mean, it's been a long process. I've been working with Solutions since the beginning of July with regards to the funds. And going back through, each month with them and looking at the general ledger. And, so we finally this past month, got it all corrected and made sure it was working as it should be. And this problem isn't just our county, it's been multiple counties that are with Solutions that have been having issues with them. And, so I got, an email from Sam in regards to this in November, on the 22nd. I responded to him on the 1st of November, letting him know that I was looking into it. And that I'd hoped to get it corrected by the end of the month. I emailed all entities then in November, letting them know that we were still working on it. But in regards to this, I've been then working in the meantime with Solutions Daily, trying to get the auditor's office reconciled or balanced from July on so that we can have everything current, before she leaves. And so, in looking at like the reports that Drew dropped off, I talked with my gal at Solutions, and I mean, all of the tax roll is inherited by the auditor's office. So I receive all the funds from the auditor's office, all the amounts, everything. So I went back through all of my reports to look to see if I had any of those fund numbers, and I didn't.
What does that, I'm sorry to interrupt, what does that mean when you say you didn't have the fund numbers?
Well, it looks, so after looking at these are TIF funds.
Okay.
All funds are created in the auditor's office. So every July, when we start the new year and I get the new tax amounts, she sends over the tax roll along with the abstract, and I get all that paperwork.
So these allocations are determined by the auditor's office, and then you just pay them? Is that how it works, or you?
Yes, I mean,
Okay.
I just essentially send out the tax bills and then collect the money. The auditor's office is the ones that creates all the funds.
Cause there, on the copy I got from Drew, there's several things here that were highlighted. So, just to clarify, I understand, I don't understand your job or the auditor's job, so forgive me if I'm speaking, wrong. But so some of these funds are basically, they're determined by the auditor's office, and then you send, that's how the money, all the taxing authorities get their money, you use this document.
Yep.
And ship it out. So can you change these?
Yeah, so it looks like these funds, are TIF funds, which I do input those fund numbers, at the beginning of each fiscal year. But those fund numbers are provided to me by the auditor's office, since they're the ones that.
Okay, this is,
Wait, no, I'm
this
trying
is
to-
throwing people
no.
under the bus. This has been a problem
Yes.
for months.
Phil-
Entities are not getting their funds, entities are getting money that
$156,000
This
went
Phil,
into the
You
wrong
guys,
account.
okay,
all I'm
I
sitting
am
here
sit-
trying to,
no, no,
well,
I am. sitting
January
on the
2nd, this will
auditor
all
under
be
the
solved,
bus.
because you'll have your new
No,
auditor.
well, here's the thing, we cannot, if we receive and file documents, we have to receive and file documents. We should not be putting personal commentary on these documents.
I put that note on there, 'cause that's what Drew told me.
Well, how does Drew know? He's not the auditor
Cause he
or the
got the
treasurer.
$156,000
Yeah,
deposited
but
in
those
his account,
funds,
it's not
I
his.
don't make those up, the auditor's office does.
So basically, here's the thing, is I'm
You can
trying
laugh
to.
all you want.
I'm
Phil.
laughing.
Point of
I'm
order,
really
stop,
laughing
this
this
is
year.
counterproductive.
You guys are the ones that started it, that I was talking and you decided to be disrespectful to
You were
me.
throwing someone under
No,
the
no, no,
bus,
I
it's not
was
here
not.
defending stuff.
No, Phil.
I'm telling you the
I'm
facts,
trying to
Phil.
understand who does what, so I don't, at this point, I don't care. I'm trying to understand what happened, because there's an ongoing problem with Solutions. I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. We got an email this morning, from ISAC saying they're going out to bid for that kind of stuff. So there's obviously a problem. I've talked to other treasurers and other auditors who have Solutions. They're having problems, I don't know if it's this particular problem, but they're having problems with them with their software. And they cannot balance, and they cannot, see, I actually call people and I talk to other people so I can find out what the truth is. I don't take one side, okay? I talked to her. I
All right,
talked to
anything else to
others.
discuss?
Yes, because this, I am not gonna, we should not be receiving and filing documents
Okay.
that have wrong information on them.
Do I have a motion to receive? Is there a second?
I only have, first.
Okay, I will second that.
This is a false
Any-
document, Phil, we should
any-
not be passing this.
All right, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion
Nay.
carries.
We'll
All
be
right,
corrected
Mike.
January 2nd, Val. Oh my gosh.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm gonna hobble my way over here to the stand and kind of give you an update on some of the resolutions I have here. First one is one that's been in the works here, and it's approving the final plans for BRS 129. And what this is a bridge on Pitzer Road that 2 years ago we received state funding, applied for a grant. It's part of their once a year straight state grants that they give out to the cities and the counties. And we received partial funding for this project. And here we are a couple years later, and I have the plans to present to you today for signatures. We are still shooting for an April 15th letting. There's still a few things that need to happen before that, but we're optimistic, and we're to the point where the plans need to be signed. This is about a $2 million project, and it's a combination of our federal aid dollars and state dollars to bring this project to us. I have that to present to you today. Set
Is
there.
that the bridge we got the appropriations for?
No, that's the next one here.
Okay.
Okay, here's the next one on the list. It's the second part of the appropriations for, this has been a project to get all the federal, state, county, all of us to get a contract, get the agreement done, so we can get our appropriations for our earmark. And this would be for the Bevington Bridge project.
This is the second bridge.
This is the one.
Closest
the
to
truck.
92.
Yes, correct. It's a high trust there. This is the second half of the agreement. I brought the federal aid earmark appropriation money agreement a couple weeks ago. This is now the HBP, or the state side of their federal money. I bring that.
So you piggybacked state, fed, and.
That's correct. Yep.
County.
Yep. Actually, there is no county money in either one of these projects. Either the first one here, it's all either federal aid or state dollars. The second one we're talking about here in this resolution is federal aid bridge money that comes to us, and earmark money, which comes from the federal. I've been doing this a long time. That's the first time that we've ever got it. It's fantastic. It's an interesting process, a lot of paperwork involved.
Is it more complicated than the regular process, or just a different complication?
It's more, I think.
I think it's a little more, it's just more paperwork, but that's okay. Hey, we'll take
it's
$1 million
cheaper,
for
yeah.
more paperwork, that's
You
fine.
take it.
Yeah, that's great for us. Okay, the next series of things here is designating myself and Cole Kearns as the SERPA representatives for Madison County and Secretary Road Department. The next one after that is the life expectancy of equipment, materials, trucks, those type of things. That's for our accounting. We do that every year. Basically, everything else I'm listing here is kind of housekeeping. We do it every year. The next one is Secondary Roads Engineer, myself, to act as the board and regarding secondary roads projects. So there'd be projects like these that we're bringing here today, title sheets, 5-year program projects, those type of things. You give me the authorization to continue on to develop projects, sign claims, and payments for projects. That is a yearly resolution that we bring to you every year. Next one is a resolution to temporary close roads. That's when we do our construction closing. Again, that's as per administrative code, bring that to you to give me the authority to do that after hours. Let's say we have a traffic incident or something like that, close it, reopen it. And let's see, the next one is our holidays. Our holidays a little different as per the handbook. We try to group our holidays into a beginning or end of the week. It's a little more productive to get our systems up and going. Like, for example, this one's kind of tough because we have Monday, 2 days off. It works out better for us to have Oh, yeah, yep, that's right. So that is in the handbook, we're following the handbook, so our holiday schedule for Christmas is a little different than what the courthouse is going to be.
And what is yours?
It will be, that year, it will be a, I believe,
Thursday, Friday.
Thursday, Friday instead of a Wednesday.
It's
Thursday.
25th,
25th,
26th.
Yep. And if it snows, we'll still be there to move the snows. The last one is also an annual that I bring to you every year, and it gives the secondary roads engineer the authority to review any utilities. We have a permit process to go through there, where I look at the permit, there's some guidelines there, restoring the right of way. Also, a deal in there on liabilities and those kinds of things. The last ones are pretty much all standard, except for the 2 bridge projects. Otherwise, I don't have anything else to add unless you have any short questions that would pertain to these resolutions.
I have a compliment.
Oh, okay.
You trimmed the trees on Bevington Park Road, and I got a complaint, but then I got a huge compliment. You can't please everybody.
Yep. Yeah.
Most people are happy, so am I.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it works sometimes. Yeah, not to go into that. We had some sight distance issues there, especially when the canopy develops with the leaves, and we tried to take care of that. There's a lot of miles to get that done, so hopefully we have a lot of those to get checked off yet this winter when we're not doing snow removal. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Mike. Okay, is Chip here? Chip.
Chip, yeah.
Guess we want to talk about camera system.
Yeah.
All right, we have a couple public hearings. First hearing is for Hilltop Timber Estate Subdivision. Can I have a motion to enter into a hearing at 9:46 a.m.?
So,
Motion by Diane, is there a second?
second.
Second by Heather. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Ryan, everything's been published as required?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Floor is yours.
And public comment, like you guys have seen conservation, that was the only one that I received there. This final plat, Hilltop subdivision, or Hilltop Timber Estate subdivision is 1 lot. The applicant and property owner is Robert Kendall Lang. It's currently zoned agricultural. The entirety of this tract before the division is 27.8 acres. Their desire is to split 1 lot off of that on the east side. Board of Supervisors are required to approve, and the plat is not final until that is completed. Current legal use, the current parcel does contain a dwelling and a detached garage, which both were constructed in 2005. Other than where the residence is located on this parcel, the vast majority of the tract has been undisturbed and is heavily timbered with some severe topography changes throughout. Robert Kendall Lang purchased this property from Jeremy Bergmeyer on July 11th of 2018 for $415,000. Summary key issues, if there are any, so we've got no portion of this is found to be within the FEMA flood zone. CSR2 of the ground is 37.26. There was no extraterritorial jurisdiction review, as it's not within 2 miles of any incorporated city. And a driveway approach has been approved by the county engineer's office, and that work order is attached there too.
Ryan, this is that 6.7 acres in the corner, and that is very steep, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got some topography changes there. It's heavily timbered. With this being, we received this subdivision request prior to the adoption of our new comprehensive plan. So I kind of broke down there on the staff's recommendation, both sides for you to review.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
So I was a little confused, the part that they wanna split off, that's heavily timbered, but I didn't see a house there, is that on the other?
The house is on the 27 acre tract.
Okay,
Their desire is to split off the east 6 acres approximately to eventually build the residence, or
Okay.
have the ability to build the residence.
And they'll have a separate driveway for that 6 acres.
Correct.
Is the pond part of that? I couldn't tell. from
I don't
that.
believe so.
No.
I think it goes with the big piece, doesn't it? And this is old timber,
Yeah, I would say it's mature.
yeah.
So,
Hardwoods.
it looks like zoning approved a fencing exemption.
Yeah, zoning commission
Information on that.
Zoning commission did meet on that. I have the date here. 21st of November. They were looking strictly at the exemption. They're not looking at, because it's a minor subdivision, it's just my review and then your approval. So they were just looking at the topography. Mr. Lang sent in a video. I would say it's not conducive at all. And that was the 4-2 vote, for the zoning commission on approving that if the plat was approved.
To not require a line fence.
Correct,
Okay, our current ordinances do require that.
yes.
Is our ordinance, aligned with Iowa code? Does Iowa code require that, and that's why our ordinance says it, or is that just our ordinance?
It's just our ordinance.
You could have gone around it too.
Yeah, and I gave Mr. Lang the opportunity to, if he wanted to make a 2-lot subdivision where the current residence and 6-acre piece was a part of that subdivision, the interior fence there would not have been required.
Okay.
And the same would also be true if this was the first split on that parcel, that no fence would be required.
Correct.
So it also says, and you may not know the answer to this may be a title question, but it mentions a mortgage on there, so when we split parcels off, and obviously the mortgage is on the whole parcel, how
So-
does that work?
A part of the accompanying documents of subdivision plat is consent of the mortgagee. So they're aware that this is going on and they approve of it if they send you that.
And if the property's not changing hands, it's really irrelevant, but if they were to sell off that 6-acre parcel, the mortgage company's gonna want a little something before they release the money mortgaged off that
Right.
property.
Okay. And other than, the comprehensive plan, and the recommended fencing exemption, it's compliant with all our ordinances.
With ordinances, yes.
I'm looking at this one and also at the other one to a lesser degree, but, I understand the goals of the comprehensive plan and they're good. I mean, we don't want helter-skelter development everywhere, but I think there's a huge difference between a minor subdivision and a major subdivision. I think minor subdivisions probably should have a little more latitude than a major subdivision on where they go, what type of things are allowed or whatnot, but I'll use myself as an example. I've got a 35-acre property, probably looks an awful lot like this, timbered and hilly and whatnot. If I wanna knock off 3 acres for one of my kids to build a house up there, I think I should have the ability to do that.
And that's something we can massage out in the ordinances, and we do different levels.
I would agree. I think the major subdivisions should be more restricted than the minor ones.
I lived out there and boy, this is some steep soil
It's
with,
gonna be expensive to build. if we
and
do.
it's, I don't know how,
If you're done with me, he can.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm Robert, I'm the landowner.
hi, Robert.
So where the driveway is approved, it's actually very flat,
yeah,
so.
I know.
Oh, would you mind going up there to the?
Yeah.
And give her name and your address, so our,
Robert Lang, address 2732 Southern Trail, St. Charles. Where, Mike, right, your team approved the driveway, it actually goes in very flat. There's a beautiful spot that you can build a house, and then from there, I guess it does go downhill quite a bit to where that pond is. The pond is on the parent parcel completely. We did that intentionally, just not to cause any problems with, shared pond and whatnot, so. But
how
yeah.
much timber are you gonna have to remove to, and those are hardwoods, how much are you gonna have to remove to build the house?
Very little. I do timber stand improvements, so that entire tract has been improved significantly.
So you have a timber stand improvement contract with the NRCS with the state? Or you just did timber stand for your
Previous.
cost share?
Previous owner did that, and then I did it additionally. I do that part professionally, so I'm very, very aware of everything that goes on there. That current section, really not that much where you build a house. If you wanted a giant yard, yeah, you have to knock down a bunch of trees, but where the house would go, no, there's not that much.
Okay,
Great, thank you.
all right, thank you. Anyone else with comments this time? Seeing none, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn the public hearing at 9:55 a.m.
So moved.
Motion by Heather, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, our next one is a public hearing for the Peterson Estate subdivision. Can I have a motion to enter into public hearing at 9:55 a.m.?
So moved.
Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Everything published as required, Ryan?
Yes.
Okay, all right, floor's yours.
And Conservation did not provide a report for this one. They sent me an email in regard to that one stating that they had no comment. Okay, so Lance Lauterbach is the applicant for this one. Ownership is Lauterbach Family Farm Limited Partnership. Consists of 4 parcels, all zoned agricultural, and the acreage in total is 155.255 acres. Number of lots is 3, one of those being an outlot which will be reserved for farming practices. It is, as the CSR of that outlot A would be extremely high, probably in the 80s. And it's just their desire, I believe, to get rid of the acres that they don't really have any use for. And then farm the rest with that family farm. The parcels encompassed in this subdivision proposal do not comprise of any building structures. There was a 26 by 48 corn crib located within the setback requirements of lot 2, but has been removed by the applicant. Approximately 130 acres of this property has been disturbed by row crop production, with the remainder of the property being set aside in grass and tree waterways to prevent erosion. Relevant history. The 160 acre tract of land was previously owned by Robert and Celesta Peterson. Both of them have passed, and their estate sold this farm to a Lauterbachs on November 11th, 23 for $2,080,000. On July 3rd, 24, Lauterbach, they sold parcel C, which is where the homestead was at, consisting of 3.5 acres. This included an 1860 farmhouse and the associated farm buildings to Samuel and Jeanette Hobson. They sold that for $260,000, and then Hobson transferred that to, I believe it was a nephew or some family sale of that property to the Selman Family Trust for $200,000. None of this falls within the FEMA flood zone area. Average CSR2 of the entire tract is 79.3. As I stated, this does include 145.386 acres of platted outlot A. This plat is within the 2 mile radius of city limits of Van Meter. They did complete a resolution. It has been provided by the city of Van Meter waiving compliance to the provisions of their ordinances because it's so far from their current utilities and what they can provide.
You mean there's no utilities out there?
Well, city of Van Meter utilities, so they're not gonna,
Municipal service.
yeah, they're not gonna give or require them to have sewer hookup, water, that kind of stuff. It would be private septic systems and rural water.
So, is there rural water available?
Yeah, it's Warren up there.
It's Warren. Is it Warren or Des Moines?
It's Warren, but they
Warren
buy
is
it
the
from Des
water,
Moines,
Des Moines.
so Des Moines Water Works water.
I have a
through Warren
question.
pipes.
Yes.
Des Moines one.
Just for my own edification, what's the difference between, you have a lot one, a lot two, and then this is parcel C, what's the difference between calling it a lot
So-
versus a parcel?
A parcel C, that is a plat survey. A subdivision would be in a 40-acre Hilltop park, 40-acre tract, government survey tract. We allow one plat of survey, out of each 40 corner, and then beyond that,
It's
it-
lots.
it is subdivision.
Okay, thank you.
One plat of survey or two?
One.
I thought you could split 40 into 3 pieces without.
You can subdivide three ways.
But once it's been
Once
subdivided,
it-
you can't divide it.
So once you have two, creating that third would be,
Okay,
A
but,
plat of survey.
if, when they purchased this, they split out that parcel C and lot 1 and didn't do anything with lot 2, would not be coming in front of us today.
well, you would have two tracks. You would have parcel C, the rest of that. So the next time that you cut that would be the third split.
But if you'd have done it initially, when they did parcel C, if they did parcel A, parcel B, parcel C, it would not have needed any approval.
They parcel them all out instead of subdividing them.
Yeah, they would.
So if you subdivide them, you need a plat of survey, is that
No,
correct?
so if you have a 40-acre tract and you cut it in half, that's 2 lots.
Right.
The next time you cut that, it's gonna create 3. That's when you're
So
subdividing.
it needs, okay, 3, you can't do, you have 2.
Yes.
splits. Okay, I was thinking you could do 3, but, okay.
So if it's 3 or more, it's a subdivision.
Yes.
And it's the difference between major and minor.
So what if I cut it in half, and I have 2? And then I start cutting, can I go
You
into?
can cut it in half with plat survey. Anything beyond that would be
If it had never been done,
Right,
if that
40
parcel had already been split once, you're out of luck.
Okay,
thanks, Ryan.
thank you.
All right, anyone want to comment on this one? I see some neighbors back there.
I'd like to speak in opposition of it.
Please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Chip Boston, 1147 Prairie View Avenue. My biggest opposition is if you drive up and down that road, if every farmer were to sell any undesirable piece off of the corner of their ground, you would have multiple subdivisions up and down that road. So I'm a firm believer it should not happen.
All right, thanks, Chip.
And it's in Badger Creek watershed, isn't it? Is
Yes.
that a Badger Creek structure?
So the conservation. So entry number 6 on their abstract shows a Madison County Soil Conservation District easement there for a structure that would be on outlot A. Lots 1 and 2 doesn't have any. It's in
The bigger pond is, the smaller is.
So the bigger pond's a Badger Creek structure, I
So
think.
they have this tract right here. Well, actually, it's over here because there's a pond down in this, and this waterway is conservation easement. But nothing on here or here, in this quarter.
So if you start putting a lot of rooftops
So
around that, Ryan,
This part here there's a big pond on the neighbors. This part is in conservation easement, and this is where the 2 lots are.
Okay, do we know how, if these are built, how it would affect?
that's my question.
I can't speak. I know that this does drain under the road and goes into the watershed,
Okay.
but I don't have any real
Okay.
evidence there.
All right, anyone else wish to comment on this matter?
Other than, Ryan, other than the concerns about that, are there any, are they compliant with the ordinances?
Yes, they've provided everything.
Joan Cook, KOCH, 1112 Prairie View Avenue, Van Meter. I don't know what the lot numbers are, I'm assuming C is the middle lot, is one the north, two the south.
Yes.
Sees the existing house, yes.
So I have a concern about lot 2. There's a lot of runoff that comes off that field. I don't know how you could call it residential. It would be very hard to put a house there. That's my main concern. This is lot C.
That's a waterway just right there.
Right,
Yeah,
it would be very wet,
and it has a conservation easement, so they won't be able to build on the easement.
correct.
The easement's on the south side, right?
Yeah, but they have a setbacks, pretty strict setbacks.
Do we have any idea of what their plans are? Like, I'm assuming they know that.
They're just selling the lots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are.
They don't care what the owner does with them, they're just selling the lots. They are for sale, as is. One is a timber, they'll have to take down trees in order to build. The other one is as a swamp, basically. I don't think it would be very, I mean, I guess I could speak for the future owner. I don't know if I would wanna build in either place.
Well, if you build and you put a rooftop and a cement driveway, the runoff you'll create into the already wet could be catastrophic for people below you.
And the road's right there.
And the road is there, and I live on the other side.
The only way to mitigate it is to, I'm not an expert on that, but is increase the lot size, so move where it drains. But that would take,
You'd be taking cropland for that.
And that's a high CSR,
yeah.
It is,
really high.
I wouldn't recommend that either.
No, it's prime farm.
Right.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? If not, I'd ask for motion to adjourn this public hearing at 10:07 a.m. Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We've reached the public comment portion of our agenda. Anyone from the public wish to comment at this time? Okay. Seeing none, Ryan, you're up.
Brian,
Yeah, I know about that.
yeah,
Yeah, she had that fall.
she had a heart attack and she died.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yes.
I knew about the fall and the broken, well, that's, when did that happen?
Saturday, I got a call somebody.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So that's
Well, that's
the
crazy.
rest of her secret.
Oh, really? Oh,
She just fell and broke her arm. She had a heart
Yeah, she
attack.
broke her arm a bit ago.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, no. That makes us all seem kind of lame, like.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but.
No, I didn't know about
You
that.
need to know.
Yeah, no, I do need to know about that. Okay. Well, that's gonna cause a bunch of chaos. We'll
Yes.
figure it out. All right, updates on just the items that, fiber expansion projects are all on track, and that Omnitel does have some separate fiber projects too for grants, I think down in Peru and, some other smaller towns that are, should be hooked up next year. So those are all on track. That federal housing loan bank condos on 15th Street here in Winterset, that committee has met. I have received no word, and when I log in, there is no content anymore on the website. I consider that a soft breakup.
Which means.
I'm assuming it's dead, so I'm gonna let it ride unless I hear something else.
Okay.
Usually, I still would expect to hear something from the feds, but at this point, I haven't.
The formal flush letter's probably lost in the mail.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, so, well, I'll keep you posted when I do get it. On our revolving loan fund, we've got the 5 current ones in town, and still the one pending in Earlham, which I think is gonna start happening now that that project that's associated with it is wrapped up. So then we'll button it up with our revolving loan fund and the bank. And then we have one pending in Winterset where we're gonna come in on the back end of construction and do a buy down on the construction loan. So that total portfolio value sits at about $185K in the loans. With CCOG, we had a little hold up there, just took a long time for them to do the documents, and, now the biggest thing is reconciling what the company, because they were doing equipment loans, so like, what the company wanted to buy, what they said they would buy, and making sure that those are compatible, so I think there's a little bit of variance there, so we're just trying to ease that out so we can include that. But they do have about $1 million to loan out, 4.5% 7-year loans that would be for equipment. Farmers Electric, that revolving loan does, 3 of the 4 have completed or being worked on right now. The 4th one is a building purchase. Basically, there's a business in town, they were gonna do a remodel, and it's just like, well, the building is pretty poor in the first place, why remodel it, so.
Where is this, Brian?
There's a building in town, there's a business in town here that was gonna remodel their building, and they're gonna just, I think, buy a new one instead, so hopefully that'll close yet this month. So, once it's closed, I'll mention their name, but until then, I'll keep my mouth shut. Earl and Greenfield site, we do have to, we did get pictures, we, kind of have to follow up on some stuff, because there's some turnover with the people we were working with, so we gotta kind of bring the new people up to speed, and we'll keep working with that. So we also got a cold lead from another project we wanna try to dovetail in and see if maybe that'll work on that project site, because it was the right size, so we'll keep prodding that thing. It's kind of a pocket listing, the owners don't want us to really advertise it, so it's more of a word of mouth listing, and then like private conversation listing, so we will keep working on that. The Earl and Child Care Facility, the state has not been particularly helpful. Their best advice at this point, there's some state, like, employer-based programming, but we don't really have a major employer in Earlham that we could dovetail that with. The state's best advice at this point is basically the people who were working with the state to go and get those home child care. There were people working at the facility that opened home child care centers just to make sure that they're registered with the state so that they could receive state support. But aside from that, there hasn't been a lot of functional advice as to how to proceed. There is a USDA Rural Development program for community facilities, which might work here, but Earlham's income is high enough, the household income in Earlham is high enough that there's no grant, that they wouldn't qualify for any grant. But it's basically a loan program, low interest loan program. So that is one way, but that would require either the applicant to be a nonprofit or a governmental entity to work with. Remember that program, as we'll mention it again here later. Updates, we're still working with the local business on a succession plan. We're still trying to recruit optometrists to the area after our current one closed. We've had some chatter about accountants. We are using some accounting firms here. So that's something else we're gonna start looking at too. We're in the early stages of working with the hospital and Winterset Utilities to build up a local revolving loan fund. The utilities opened a red light fund. We mentioned Greenfield before, they have their revolving loan fund. They built their revolving loan fund up with Farmers Electric Cooperative and the hospitals. Every time a hospital would do an expansion, they go get some federal funds to help build up their red light fund. Over time, they built that up into a robust revolving loan fund. The objective is to do the same thing here, so we have one specifically focused on with Winterset Utilities. So that's the objective, to kind of lay the groundwork to make that kind of long-term commitment so that we have this really good tool. Probably about the time I retire, it'll be a really robust tool.
So we're gonna have you until then, is that what you're saying?
Well, you know, there's that expression about planting trees for the shade for your offspring, so, you know, so it's more one of those projects, but it'll be a good tool in the future and it'll help, but we gotta put that into motion to get it to actually happen, so. We did respond to an RFP for a 14,000 square foot facility that would have been for a Winterset site here. Who knows if those pan out? Those are one of those things where we do that periodically when we see if we want to come by, we'll go after them, but most of the time, we just cast in a net, or cast in a fishing pole. So I did want to mention the Norwalk annexation. I think there's an email you might have received with some
I
maps.
didn't see the attachment on mine.
Michelle, do you have the
I have
PDF?
it, if you want to tell me which one you want me
Scroll
to.
the PDF just to get an idea of the size and scale of it.
This guy?
Yeah, I think that's it. So on.
When is Norwalk gonna quit?
Well, this is gonna be a big project for them
Yeah.
to swallow this. So on last Thursday, they annexed, 2,900 acres in yellow.
Oop, that's too little.
That's a little too little. So their current boundary is in blue. They will add the yellow. So that'll take them all the way down. He's over to the left.
I wish I could go.
Okay,
That's-
but basically,
Some and stuff and
It
some.
goes to R35.
so basically the thing to know is that St. Patrick's Church is right across the street.
Okay.
So that's about where it's gonna come out.
So they're taking full responsibility of R-35 with this annexation?
Well, the parts, well, we'll see.
No such luck?
No, I'm pretty sure not. So, they've approved the annexation, it was 2,900 acres, it basically goes right over to St. Patrick's Church. It's almost all voluntary, there was only one forced annexation in there. There are some other maps, if we wanna show them, it shows the road layout plan, but basically the thing that you're thinking there is this is a long-term project for Norwalk, we're looking at about a 7 to 10-year project here to, eventually put an interstate access ramp in there, and then put a road that will go to the south side of Norwalk, and that'll hook up their industrial area to a direct line to I-35. So that is what they're working on right now.
Show them both that road map?
Yeah, pull up the road map, because it shows multiple layouts, there should be one that says roads.
And the, speedy through there.
That's cool, because I
So
figured,
how far are they coming into?
Which one?
they're not, they can't enter the
They're
county
not.
without.
Did you want me to
Flooding
do?
up.
They're
the
going
road.
right
That's
to the
right
end.
up to it.
Yeah, they come right to the one, so. Also, I just wanna make sure you were aware
So
of this.
what's gonna
because
happen
it's
to
pretty-
Martinsdale?
Well, they're
Are they
south,
going-
they're south of, it's south of this.
It's south.
So these are some of the potential road layouts that they've got currently mocked up for coming off of the interstate, so. Early stages.
I don't know.
Again, these are drafts.
Yep, sorry
This-
guys.
All
You're-
very hypothetical.
But this is all hypothetical, this is all draft stuff, but just FYI, we're talking like a 10-year, 7 to 10-year
I sent
horizon
these
line
to
for
your
these
emails
types of
this
work.
morning.
So provide services to that area.
Well, the thing is, they already have the Southwest Sewer,
Okay.
and that's part of why they wanted to do the annexation, so that nobody else would end up scooping them on their own Southwest sewer map. I think there's an annexation map that shows ownership, it shows the
So I'm gonna do that
Southwest.
next.
Yeah, pull that one out, it shows the Southwest Sewer line on it.
Annex sewer?
Yeah, mostly I have that in there because it's the orange line on this map, so it shows kind of where the Southwest Sewer connect is gonna run. Or is already partially built. So that's part of why they wanted to annex, so that nobody else would be taking care of, would be benefiting from the authorities and resources in terms of their investments.
What are the red circles?
I do not remember. Mostly I saved that map because it was the only one I had with the sewer line on
Oh,
it,
I got the not having attached. Okay.
but I think the star is kind of what they're looking at having, is where the access to the interstate is most likely to occur on Fillmore Street, and I believe the red are kind of industrial corridors is my recollection, but I don't remember for sure. There's a lot of stuff going back there.
Yeah.
But I just wanna make sure you were aware of this, that makes it, that'll bring, Norwalk, Cumming, Dan Eater, all abutting the edge of the county. It may behoove the supervisors to develop a policy in terms of what admittance looks like, if they request admittance. Because also, the thing you think about too is like West Des Moines has admittance, so like, would you be favoring West Des Moines if you did admit the others, you know? So what would it take to do admittance? And it would probably be, to me, at least from my perspective, you probably want to consider something revolving around, allowable growth in your TIF districts. So if they're gonna TIF to build into the county, the county's at least gonna see some allowable growth.
But we don't have to accept.
You don't have to, no, they have to come to you to request interest. You can
But
say
they
no.
could do, if they got enough people to allow them to annex in,
They need permission.
So they
to
need
enter.
permission from the the only reason West Des Moines
Is they
can
had
annex
permission.
in here is because they got permission in 2018.
Yeah, but there's no like, you don't have an agreement with them in place, so if you had one of them with the others, then maybe that's something that would be considered in the future is, what would you need to feel comfortable with entry, so. Go ahead.
All right, this was approved by Norwalk, correct?
Yes, and
But
the
it
state
has-
has to sign off.
Okay, it has
hasn't signed
not
off.
went to their board of supervisors and not went to the state.
Supervisors have already signed off.
Okay,
They were-
all right.
yeah.
Please, could you, in a contact, reach out, have them reach out, they're going to have to reach out to Madison County.
Yeah.
Because they will have to go to the center line of that road.
Yeah.
Okay, and when that happens,
Right.
please, have
Well,
them reach out, have a
Historic
comment.
preservation is a conversation you can have because St. Patrick's is there, roads department, scenic byways, tourism department, those are all conversations because that's on the scenic byways that are gonna be part of what, reaching out and kind of like, hey, welcome, this is part of this is part of what you get.
And the reason I bring that up is we've had experiences in the past.
Well, there's some friction around that particular road.
Yes.
in the
Yeah.
past, yes.
And I believe they will come to you with at least a maintenance agreement on the road system.
They may be easier to work with too than.
Thank you.
Yep.
Ryan, what about the cement casting plant? Did that pass?
That I don't know about at this point, where that's at. So anyway, so that's just what's going on with Norwalk. I'll get out of your hair because this is longer than I usually take. So Truro, we are trying to get in front of the city council to talk about their city hall library project, that program with the federal government that I mentioned earlier for public facilities. Turo's household income much lower, potentially we could be looking at 75% federal grant there toward that cost of that building. And I have talked with CCOG about.
CCOG didn't approve it, did it?
No, I talked with CCOG about, hey, are you, if they needed help with this, would you be comfortable? Who would they reach out to, me or them, or would you be willing to help partner on this? And they said that they've done them before. Yeah. So
And this is for their library?
this is their library, city hall, is a joint building. They brought that before the community foundation last year to do design work. The community foundation was like, we're not gonna do design work. So that is, one of those things that we'd like to, if they're gonna come back to the community foundation, they might be willing to pay for structural stuff on the library, but kind of see where that goes. It's kind of an early conversation. I'd like to get before their city council and kind of flesh this out and see where they're at.
All right.
Yep, otherwise, the biggest other thing on the list is really the community foundation. That timeline's gonna move up, so it's gonna be a January 1 grant, instead of, so normally it was February to the end of March, it's gonna be January 1 to the end of February. And the board wanted to do that, so it lined up a little better with construction season, so it's easier to get a contract and get a project done the year that the grant is awarded. Otherwise, if you have any questions, get out of your hair.
Thanks,
All right,
Ryan.
thank you, Ryan.
Yep.
All right, moving on to resolutions. First one's an EMS resolution approving wage increases for Garrett Boyle to $23.93 effective January 1. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Heather, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next one is the resolution approving the obligation of American Rescue Act funds in the amount of $277,270.37. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Heather, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Only thing I would add on that, I see that the bid for the generator calls for a diesel generator. I know when we replaced the generator at the sheriff's office, we went with natural gas, so we didn't have to worry with diesel on site and gelling and all this type of stuff. Might be something to consider.
Yeah, we'll change that. I don't want a diesel.
We can do a change
We'll
order.
do
But
natural.
then, anyway, I think that would be prudent.
Good idea.
Have the minutes note that way, Michelle.
Okay,
If it's okay.
if there's no other discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next one, secondary roads resolution approving final plans for project BRS-6071. 6061, anyway. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Heather, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next secondary road resolution is approving Iowa DOT federal aid agreement. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. I'll second.
Motion by Heather, second by Diane, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next secondary road resolution designates Mike Hackett is the 25 Madison County rep to SERPA, and Cole Kearns is the alternate. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next resolution from secondary roads approves the county engineer's authority to determine life expectancy for fixed assets and infrastructure. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next secondary road resolution is approving the senior county engineer, giving them authority to act on behalf of the board of supervisors regarding secondary road projects. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye, any opposed? Motion carries. Next secondary roads resolution gives the county engineer authority to temporarily close any part of the secondary road system when necessary. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye, any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Next resolution is approving the secondary roads employee holidays for calendar year 2025. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Heather, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye, any opposed? Motion carries. Final secondary roads resolution gives the engineer authority to request locates of public utility companies in calendar year 25. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. I'll second.
Motion by Heather, second by Diane, any further discussion? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye, any opposed? Motion carries. I have a couple zoning resolutions. The first one is approving the Hilltop Timbers Estate. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Heather, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Diane, any further discussion? I'm gonna add just one thing on this. As we go forward with development, I understand having reasonable growth, but we still need to have growth. Without growth, you have your taxes are gonna just continue to exceed because you don't have any additional revenue to do that. So if you wanna keep property taxes down or reduce them, you need some growth. But hitting the sweet spot on that, therein lies the challenge, so.
And I agree with that. I think responsible growth is a good thing. I think this urban sprawl is not a good thing. I think it's something that it will be very difficult for us to keep
I
up.
think we just looked at.
Yes, yes. There needs to be maybe a circle around the city, because just building all over is really taxing, and I find that it's very difficult sometimes, as a person who grew up here, having somebody that comes from California living next to you is very difficult.
There's a delicate balance.
There is.
On that, but, you know, another option too is to shrink government so we don't have to charge as much taxes. That's an option as well. But yes, I mean, we wanna have growth, but the helter-skelter way we've been doing it is not.
Right, I encourage you when you're looking at ordinances to differentiate between minor and major subdivisions. Jumping ahead to the next one there, you know, now I understand when that was purchased, they split off the house and the acreage. That's been going on for decades as farms have grown. You know, so some of that, I understand, some of it, maybe not, so keep the balance on that.
But you know, you gotta think far ahead too. There's no food in the grocery store, what are you gonna do? Cause when it's gone, it's gone. An average Walmart takes 14 acres and they build on prime farm ground because it's cheaper. This is not smart for a future. I have to be responsible.
I'll get off my soapbox. Any other comments on that one? If not, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
This is the Hilltop one.
Hilltop.
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna say nay.
Okay, any opposed? Motion carries. Next one is approving the Peterson Estates subdivision. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Diane, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Heather, a reluctant second by Heather. Any other discussion?
Yeah, they're compliant with the ordinances, and this is where I'm struggling, is the drainage into our road. That is my concern, because, if we have someone build there and they are not diligent, and provide a plan to make sure the drainage does not damage our road, and the taxpayers are gonna be dealing with road problems, because it's poor drainage. So that's where I'm struggling is, you know, I want to approve this, but I'm not comfortable right now. If they could come back with a plan to handle the drainage issue, and the watershed issue, I probably would be more inclined to, but I mean, are you comfortable with this?
Currently, our current ordinances need to be brought up to current times to address those things. Currently, right now, that is a huge problem with all of this development.
Because right now, we don't have ordinances that protect our roads from something like this.
It's a good example of, let's say, drainage. There are laws in place for drainage, however, they don't specifically address this matter. That's where when we're going forward with our new ordinances, it would be nice to have a section in there to how to handle that.
Like an engineering review.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Steve, putting you on the hot seat.
Alright.
Currently, this request is compliant with ordinances, but obviously I have reservation. If, I'm not speaking for the other supervisors, but if this doesn't pass, are we at risk because they're compliant with the ordinance?
I'd have to look and see, but I think you guys can vote however you want on it, but like, if it's in compliant with the ordinance, I guess,
They'll probably just come back.
They'll come
ask
back
for
and-
something else.
change it.
Change it, yeah.
I think so. I just worked in that office for 22 years, and those structures protect 28,000 acres of downhill flooding. And you start filling those up with houses, you're gonna overtax. I just think we've gotta do some planning.
I don't wanna put the county at risk of a lawsuit because they're compliant with the ordinance, but at the same time, we're putting possible roads at risk.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem, is we don't know how that next person's going to develop the land. They may be very good stewards of it. We don't know that, and that's where we kinda have how do I say, we need to bring our stuff up to more modern.
Can we put stipulations on it, of contingent on approval, if they do certain things? Or can we not, because it's not in the ordinance?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that you could, as the zoning, the zoning commission has previously, with a few that, like, this area is not to be disturbed, because it's environmentally sensitive. And I would say that you have that within your jurisdiction to do.
I wanna add too, and I don't wanna step out of my engineering element here into the legal aspect, but, you know, there are current laws with drainage that are out there. Again, I don't wanna step out of my lane, but, to summarize that, I can't collect water that wouldn't be natural and release it onto my neighbor's property. That's a very basic thing right now. We deal with that with roads. That's already in place.
Well, that'd be a soil loss, but it could be a
Well,
soil loss.
yeah, so, you know, it's just, to get to that part, again, I don't wanna step out of my engineering lane, but, that is in place. It would just be the burden of,
Would be on us to.
yes.
Okay.
And I didn't mean to.
So, what do you guys feel? I mean, should we, table this, have them come back with something else? Are you guys comfortable? You wanna move forward?
I understand the reservations. If it were to come to vote today, I would be voting yes.
All right, and I would vote no, but I would vote no with encouraging them to come back with some, different plans. So I would vote nay, but ask them to come back
I'm
with
a
some
nay
soil
too for
loss
that.
protection.
I'm uncomfortable with telling people that you can't do this even though they're compliant with the ordinance, but I have to put the taxpayers first that we're maintaining that road, so maybe we can split the baby and have a compromise.
Right now, there's a motion on the table, on the floor to approve.
So we have a motion and a second, Michelle?
Yes.
Yes, you do. Okay, I'll vote nay.
Okay, let's call the question on that. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Motion fails.
Please, let the record show that we requesting the owner to come back and deal with the drainage.
I did, and, but I have a Fitch nay,
Yes.
Stancil nay, and Clifton
Aye.
aye.
And Ryan, would you reach out to the owner too and give him the sense of the board that we'd like him to come back to something?
Major concern lot 2.
Yes,
Concern over drainage and plan to address.
yes. And there's a lot of water that gushes through there. Yes, and that goes into that great big waterway, correct? Yeah. Isn't that that's a really significant amount, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, they cleared a lot of trees out of there that used to slow the water down, and now that's just you get a 4-inch rain, it's going right towards my pond.
Yeah.
Gully washer.
Well, that.
Through the road,
Is that gonna, through the road?
It goes
through the road, and
Yeah.
through that culvert, that's what, 3
Not
feet?
big.
Okay.
You
What's
get that
that
plugged
gonna
up and
do?
it's going over the top.
What will that do? Let's say they put a big rooftop there. What will that do to the dam of your pond?
Yeah, I don't know, it's probably not good,
Yeah.
right? It's gonna increase, runoff tremendously.
So, Ryan, can you
Yep.
do that? Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, good discussion. Thank you. Other business, board member reports.
I'll start. Heather had a really good idea. She talked to Steve. And so Steve called me and we
That's
met.
not under new business.
It's my report because it's all I did. I didn't
All right,
have
go
any
ahead. Just tell your story.
That'll make for an abbreviated conversation.
So, Steve and Heather had a really good idea to share the, old EMS garage with, County Conservation Board, because when they move, they have to sell their old building, and that's where they keep all their equipment. So, Mitch and I and Steve went out there, and the 2 department heads thought that they could utilize this. We can't hold that building empty, assuming we're gonna have another catastrophic event. So we think that together, they thought they could, probably share that and make it work. I also have concerns that there was a lot of donated stuff that's still out there, a lot. And some of it is, I think it's a lot of chainsaws that were donated. They're not a grant, they were donated. I don't wanna see those sit there for years thinking we might have an event, and I don't know why Mitch would need them. I would like to see them go to Secondary Roads and County Conservation Board. If something bad happens, they bring them back. Sitting out there doesn't make sense to me. There's lots and lots of pallets of water. It's hot and cold out there.
And probably toss those.
Well, they said some of them are old. Deal didn't think they were very old, so I think they should be distributed.
Can we get an inventory of all that stuff and then we
Yeah,
can decide?
yes.
Oh, really, you're talking about, this is a decision for the emergency management.
Correct.
Well, we did talk, yes, and I felt like, and I apologize, cause I thought maybe I overstepped. But it is still our building and it's not being
The
utilized.
building is ours, but
Yes.
the contents are emergency management. So I
Right.
think we need to work together there.
And we will, and we have, yeah. And we will work together, and I think we can fit, our generator, is that still in Minburn?
Yes,
Why is that still there?
because they're still using it.
Okay,
Mitch checked in with them a couple days ago, and hopefully by this one we'll have them back.
so then we can fit that in, and Steve, I think he worked out there for years, I think we can share this space.
So you're talking permanently share this place, with
Well-
no plans of opening it back up for emergency management?
Why would we ever need it open if there's a catastrophic event?
Okay,
Then I think we'll deal with that when there's a catastrophic event, but letting it just sit there with a few things in it doesn't make sense to me when he needs a building.
So so we're sharing, when we're talking sharing, just to clarify that I understand, we're talking sharing with conservation and EMA, correct?
correct.
Okay, so what are your concerns with that?
My concerns are Mitch is gonna need that space.
Okay.
It's that simple.
But when will he need it?
When, that's up to whatever.
Yeah,
So
see.
can we determine how much space would be utilized by conservation versus EMA?
Yes,
Sure.
yes.
Cause what would happen, if there's a catastrophic event and you guys need more space, you know, we have very smart people in this county, we can figure out what.
Right, I don't think moving a lawnmower out of that building at 2 in
Right.
the morning is gonna be putting man on the moon by any means.
No.
Right.
I think there's a lot of I mean, I think it's a great idea initially, I think when Heather brought it up, I thought it was great, me and Diane went out and looked at the building with Mitch. I think there's a little bit of confusion to the extent of our usage of the building, and I think that's a conversation that me and Jason can have. And I think we talked really briefly on the phone, Jason had called me, I was out in the field doing some field work with my natural resource guy, but I think just let me and Jason get together
Yes.
and discuss this,
Oh,
and
yeah, I
then that
think we can
way.
figure this out.
And
Easy.
Mitch, yeah.
It's not a big deal.
It's not, I mean, our request is, I think, once me and Jason talk, it's very minimal. I think basically, like I said, there's a misunderstanding. We don't wanna go in and take over the building. We just want to house the skid loader, cause I don't have a building that has high enough doors to get the skid loader in for January, February, the cold weather months, possibly December. If it's an issue, then we can move it out of there and go someplace else with
This
it. I
is
just
what-
need a place to store it for 2 months
Yes.
during cold weather season.
Okay, this is a question I have because I don't know. Are there plans to give them more storage as this new project is being finished up and wrapped up, or?
There is no
there's
other building
okay.
available, so that's why we want, and I think we can easily work this out. I also want you guys to figure out all that inventory. It can't sit there for years. All that water and all those other things he has.
Right,
Do something with it,
we'll let Mitch figure that out,
yes,
if it's being wasted or if it's gonna be no good.
yeah, and it's hot and cold out there, so the
The
cooks
plastic
in there,
wrap.
yeah, they were a little concerned. Also, I have some concerns about the chainsaws. They're not gonna sit there for years and not be used. Work with the other departments and figure out.
And those were donated, you say?
They were donated. I did
Okay.
reach out.
We didn't buy them on a grant or anything
No,
like that?
no grant, they were just donated, and I don't know why Secondary Roads and Steve could, and they can always bring them back.
Did
if
one
we need
person
them.
donate them, or did they take money that was kept
No,
donated?
it came from a company and they just gave them to us.
What we'll probably do
There's
in
no
that
strings, he
situation
said.
is ask them if it'd be okay if we gave it to the different department heads, because what they gave those in with a purpose.
Well, if you, reach out and ask.
Yeah,
You can do
The other
that.
option is if there's another county or another entity has a natural disaster, we can donate to them.
I don't want them to sit there forever.
No, I know, but
they can use them.
they
Well,
can,
they
if there's
can-
another disaster, say, I don't know, in Dubuque,
You let a chainsaw sit there for years and years
Yes.
without starting it, you may never get it
That's
started.
right,
Yeah.
and there's no point not using it. And they need them, and so does he. And then if we need them back, they can
I'm
bring
not
something
opposed to
back.
that,
I just don't wanna see this stuff, cause it just seems to,
So, it sounds like you guys can work it out.
Yeah,
And-
I'm
Let
sure
me and Jason
Steve-
talk about it, and then,
Yeah.
like I said, just some clarification, and I think at that point in time, when me and Diane was out there, I didn't realize who had the final say-so on the building. I thought it was Board of Supervisors, that's the
Well,
reason
they
why.
do.
it's.
And they do.
We do, but given the fact that, you know, emergency management uses it.
We want everyone to
They do.
Right,
be in everyone's best interest.
right, exactly, so let me and Jason talk about it, and I'm
Yep.
sure we can.
Get Mitch involved and you guys figure it out.
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you. Any other reports, Heather?
Yeah, so, I had a couple of things going on.
Yeah.
I attended the court debt distribution, error webinar.
I did too, thanks for sending that, it was.
Yeah, apparently we didn't get all of our money from the court fines and distributions and all that kind of stuff. They don't have a final number yet, but eventually they're gonna have a final number. They said they're not gonna go backwards. They have, because it requires an appropriation from the legislature to fix that. Basically, the state got money that they shouldn't have. So, to be continued on that, but that was an interesting thing. It was a programming error, software error. I also attended the ARPA webinar, on how to make sure we report things correctly, and we understood that, so that was very, informative.
Some of it, didn't you think some of it did pertain?
Some of it did pertain, but, you know, knowledge is knowledge. I also had a meeting with Iowans for Tax Relief, to discuss property taxes and, what what the legislature might be thinking of. There's a lot of discussion of a 2% cap. So that means we cannot raise taxes more than 2%. I don't know if there's any legislation in the hopper yet on that, but, since they are the taxpayer lobbyists, I figured they would have some implication on that.
You mean counties are 2% cap?
All municipalities, 2%. So, but it's not, that's just discussions. I don't know if there's legislation that we won't know until they can what's in the hopper. I also did some research on NDAA compliance regarding our camera bids. And reached out to state entities on that, as well as federal entities on that. Got some information back, so that's, did a lot of that. I learned more about NDA than I care to know. I met with ISAC, the Joel, I'm blanking on his last name now, but he's the IT person at ISAC. I wanted to talk to him about some of the services they offer. He's the one that brought it up to me regarding issues with solutions and multiple counties having issues, which led me to call other counties to get more information on that. I spoke to the auditor in Boone County. Apparently they are having the same issues regarding month end, and they don't know, like for instance, she gave an example of it would balance fine when they submitted to the state, but in the system it looked like it wasn't balancing. So you guys got an email this morning from ISAC. That's what that's about. What ISAC is doing is they are going to be doing a formal RFP on behalf of all the counties to see if they can find a different entity to offer the services that we use. They also plan on being a back-end IT support for issues, which I think is great because it's nice to have a third party help us out. So I'm sure there's more to come on that. They did speak, I don't know if our treasurer auditor gave feedback on that survey they put out, but they do have treasurers, representations from treasurers, auditors, assessors, IT, and I think they have a supervisor advisory on that committee. So more to come on that. It's not gonna be a quick fix, but hopefully soon because 45 counties use solutions. So it's reached the ears of the lobbyist group. So those are the only things that I have to report on. And there's one other thing and I can't remember what it is, but that's it.
Okay. I left a list of all the different outside boards and commissions I sit on and the contacts for those, so when you have your organizational meeting, you can divvy that up. In the mental health arena, that's the biggest one. Last week they announced, Iowa HHS announced that they awarded the mental health contract for the entire state to Primary Care Association of Iowa. Cynical side of me thinks that was in the fix from the get-go, and they jerked all the regions around with letting them think they were even going to be an administrative service organization. So they went through all these, jumped through all these hoops, prepared all these proposals, and the state did what the state wanted to do all along.
And it's all
That's
gonna
just
go
my personal
one
opinion.
company.
So what does that mean for us?
It means that all the mental health services in the state of Iowa are gonna be managed by PCA of Iowa.
Yep. So CICS is going away?
Well, that's slightly yet to be determined. From the mental health aspect, they will have nothing in there. There is also a service agreement out there for the disability services division of that, which is supposed to be awarded in late February.
Okay.
If that were to be awarded to CICS, they would probably retool and continue to operate, but all of a sudden then, instead of serving 13 counties or 15, whatever it is, you're serving 99 counties. Obviously you're not gonna form a board of 99 counties, it's difficult enough, and you get a dozen of them.
Yeah.
So stay tuned on that. I suspect the fix is already in on that one as well.
Is this gonna be streamlined by just a couple big counties and the rest of us get maybe what's left over?
Probably.
Yeah.
But if that happens, if CSCS does not get that, the discussion I had in my meeting last week was there's really no
So
reason for
that
that
means
to
they're gonna
exist.
clear out their office and,
Well,
or they're actually out of business or?
well, they manage the mental health stuff there, so whether someone else comes in there or not, I don't know how that looks like. But if if they don't get the disability services contract, I would, they do have to function through the end of June, cause the other one won't take over till July 1.
Okay,
At that point, I would see that 2080 agreement likely dissolving.
okay.
And as I mentioned before, I sit on that board mostly because of my experience with that. Not every county is represented on it. There is a supervisor advisory council that meets on a quarterly basis, and so that would probably be where we'd be represented, but I suspect they would reach out to a supervisor that had tenure with, although at this point it doesn't really matter, somebody to fill my spot on the governing board, so, anyway.
So you're saying we need to fill that spot?
No, well, you need, they will fill that one. There's a supervisor advisory group that meets quarterly. We'll assign, you'll assign somebody to that.
Yeah.
We'll basically sit in a couple times, and more than likely, I think that group will cease to exist come June.
I do have a question for you. Thank you for putting together that list. That was very helpful. But what is the Decounterization Governance Board?
DCAT is child welfare, for Warren, Madison, and Marion County.
Is that still,
do you meet? Is it
Quarterly, not a great deal.
Okay.
do you still have any jurisdiction over that? I mean,
The funding is limited. It's not a great deal. They basically cover a salary for a child social worker and a few other little things there, and every year you never know what your funding's gonna be. The way their funding is structured, they can kind of keep back a year's worth of funding in reserves in case they don't get funding any given year. But it's kind of neat because it's small enough. You
Yeah.
actually feel you know what they're doing versus you don't really know what's going on. This is just 3 counties that are all right here. So you kind of get a better feel for it, but it's interesting. It's not a huge time commitment.
Okay. I was just wondering, and then does the funding come from the state or
Yes.
state funded? Okay.
But it's becoming very limited.
Yeah.
Okay.
It used to be the funding was such that, we'd have like $70,000 in mini grants that we would put out there for different child welfare organizations, which was interesting. It's either, they'd score the proposals, you'd look at them and, oh, okay, good.
Okay.
And then you see something going on, say, oh yeah, we support that.
Okay. And then I have a question for you, Diane. The community, since I was looking at boards, the Community Resource Enhancement and Protection Board, you're on that one. That's REAP, isn't it?
Yeah, REAP isn't, I've never been invited to REAP. That could even go off. Because
Okay.
Is there any meetings even anymore with REAP?
They have an annual meeting every year, but.
I've never been contacted about it.
So my understanding is that you have to have a REAP committee in order to get conservation, some kinds of conservation funds. So it might be beneficial if we re-engage the committee in order to have funds, right?
Those funds, we never qualified for the funding.
Well, they have a REAP committee.
Yeah.
We do have a REAP committee?
Yeah.
We do.
Okay.
I think you should keep that in place just in case.
Yeah,
Who's
there's
on
no
it?
reason,
Who's on it?
we've got a member list down at our office.
It's
Currently Diane's on it.
Yeah, but I've never been asked, I've never known when it was held. Also REAP, I think the state always takes from REAP funding, always. It's
never fully funded.
never fully funded.
No, it's never been fully funded
Never
ever
fully
since
funded.
its inception.
No.
Cause I know that with REAP, you have to have a committee, you have to have a 5-year plan in order to qualify for funding. Do we have a 5-year plan?
We have all that.
And you just never qualify. Because
Amy
like I
Warnke
said-
is our REAP representative, Anna Golightly's on it,
Yes.
our committee members,
Okay,
we have the 5-year plan.
okay. I just wanna leave anything on the table.
They're not,
So,
there's just,
okay.
and they always rob from that. It's never fully
Alright.
funded.
All right, any other old business? New business, onboarding process for new officers.
I don't know.
So, Michelle, you and I talked about this. I didn't know what the process is for new people coming in. Do we have a policy packet we hand them, or can we put
It could
something
be
together?
created.
It's-
She'd let me work on it.
The best thing is the new officer schools, which happen in January.
Yeah.
You get
I don't see.
you'll
how
get
it's-
good overview in 2 days, but you won't understand because it's coming at you so fast.
Yeah.
At least you'll get to hear it.
Well, I was thinking about, just for the county thing, for like, our policies, our laptop, email,
I would see that this should not vary any differently than a new employee.
Yeah, I would work with
Correct.
Kelly on that.
That's where I was trying to go with. You know, after we leave today, as soon as I verify their new, emails are in place, they'll be completely indoctrinated into the system. That's-
okay,
I was just waiting for yesterday, or last Friday, for that to happen. And so, if you'd like me to, I will work one-on-one with her so that it's
yeah,
covered.
good, so it's smooth, cause we're gonna hit the ground running.
I would agree.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Overlapping training and conferences for supervisors.
Well, that just goes on
Kinda.
with Heather's. I think, since it's so expensive anymore, we've already attended new supervisors, so one person, and then on these conferences, we should probably stagger and we can share what we learn at meetings with each other, not all,
When things come up, we'll pick who goes.
pick who goes.
Okay.
Yeah, cause some of them I find are really, the one in January, I kinda like the one in March better,
Yeah, I do too.
way better.
Yeah.
So we could pick and choose because it gets so costly, so that's all I meant, was just to kind of work together.
Okay,
Conservation use of the EMA space, we've kind of,
Done that,
done that.
they can figure it
Board
out.
of Supervisor approval for annual grant application for Early Commercial District.
I thought this
That
was
has to-
done.
No, that has to go, that goes kind of on to what I wanted to talk about very quickly in that, we got an email, asking for a new letter to be signed by the new chair of, a new letter. So I did prepare that for the January 2nd meeting.
Okay,
Because I figured that, I just really wanted to go over, because I'll be preparing the agenda at the end of this week.
okay,
And so I've got the normal organizational appointments to the, that you guys will, the things that you're gonna serve, who's the chairperson, requiring the board to act as a unit, approving the designation of the, official newspaper, and then I've also, it is a regular meeting, and I received an email this morning from a new owner of the Madison County Winery, who would like to be on the agenda to have that approved. They have met all.
There's a new owner of Madison County Winery.
There will be, yes.
winery or cider?
The winery, the
The
one on the
winery.
St. Charles
The
side.
winery, yeah.
oh,
So it is something that, I was going to ask permission to be added. They're struggling with the process, so I'm helping them, but, I didn't wanna put it on there without permission.
I'm okay with that.
It's just, they've done everything they need to do, I just didn't wanna throw it on an
No, it's
organizational
good.
meeting.
And this is the request from Colleen, we just needed a new signature with the new chair. Because
Correct.
the grant is done and everything,
Exactly.
she just
She
needed
just-
a new letter.
I'm just gonna do a new letter.
New one for
Perfect.
next calendar year.
Yeah.
Correct,
Yes.
yes, correct. So
Okay,
if
that's-
you're okay with that,
No, it's great,
that's,
thank you.
then, there you go, so it'll be
Thanks for
done.
cleaning up stuff.
No problem.
24 priorities, ordinance review and update. We kind of talked about that a lot today throughout
Yeah.
the course of our meeting.
The vendors have until the 31st to submit their bids. I have not received any bids yet. I have not received an amended bid from the one bid we received last time. So my intent is to send a reminder email to the 12 folks that were invited to bid at the end of this week after Christmas. So, hey, please remember, and
I'm guessing you're not gonna get any more.
Maybe not, this is a
Probably.
hard time.
At this time?
probably
this time
not. I mean, if you guys wanna extend it out, that's fine. But,
Maybe you could extend it out to just, this is such a hard time for.
well, they have it
But
till
they
the
had,
31st.
but they had it
They did.
for several
You
weeks. like
probably
This is
won't
the
get
second
more.
The only thing
request.
you tweaked it a little bit.
We tweaked it, you know,
They weren't interested before, they're probably not interested.
probably
Just wait and
not.
see what you get.
We'll
and
see
then
what we
decide.
get, but that's where we're at, so hopefully in January, we will have a decision to make on how to move forward, so I know Ryan's anxious to get moving on this, and, we can start the update of our ordinances, because the expectation is gonna take a year and a half to get it fully done. It's not gonna be quick.
It's challenging because you do it by priority, you do it in order, probably a little bit of both.
So, that's what we're waiting on for
Very
that.
good luck with all that. All right, if there's nothing else, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I would like to say something. Phil,
Yes.
thank you for serving as
You're
chair for
welcome.
all this time, and thank you for your service on the board. I know it all has been a challenge at times and frustrating at times, but it's also been fun at times.
I've never done anything that I didn't think was in the best interest of Madison County.
So
Some people might not have agreed with me on that. That's the way I
well,
approach
you
this
have
job.
3 independent thinkers on this board, so, so I wanted to thank you for your service on the board.
And as I emptied out my desk, I did reflect on a few things that happened that I think were particularly noteworthy. One was, we made some funding changes with secondary roads to get some gravel on our roads,
Yeah.
which were neglected for 2 decades. And I think we're starting to see some of the benefits of that. It's gonna be a continued process, so I encourage the board to continue to support that endeavor. This building came about during tenure, we were able to finance that. We were able to put together some funding, using the wind turbines down in Maxburg, for a new EMS garage, which is up and running, some courthouse improvements that we never could have gotten done otherwise, and helped Steve a little bit with his building. So those are some things that I think are particularly noteworthy over the last 10 years. And then as I thumbed through the file, and, oh yeah, I remember that, there's a few headaches along the way too, it's all good. So anyway, thank you.
Well, life would be boring, Phil, if you didn't have a few bumps in there.
That's right.
Kinda looking forward to boring.
You'll find something else to do.
All right, if there's nothing else, can I have that motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Give it to whoever wants it.
I'll
All in
do the
favor
second.
indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign, motion carries, thank you.